My sister invited Marcus to Thanksgiving dinner 3 years ago. She met him through a grief support group after her miscarriage. I'm writing this because the police finally closed the case last week, and I need someone to understand what actually happened that night. Marcus arrived exactly on time, 6 p.m., carrying a bottle of wine and wearing a navy sweater that looked expensive. Mid-40s, well-groomed, the kind of guy who blends into any room. My parents welcomed him warmly. My sister Emma had warned us he'd lost his wife to cancer, so we all made an effort. Dinner started normally. Dad carved the turkey. Mom fussed over the stuffing. Marcus sat across from me, next to Emma, answering questions about his consulting work. His voice was pleasant, measured. He complimented the cranberry sauce. Then he stopped eating. Not gradually. Just stopped mid-bite, fork halfway to his mouth, and set it down carefully on his plate. His eyes fixed on the wall behind my father's head. No one else noticed at first. Emma was telling a story about her new job. Mom was refilling glasses. I watched him. His hands rested flat on either side of his plate, fingers spread wide. He wasn't blinking. The conversation continued around him for maybe 30 seconds before Emma touched his arm. "Marcus, you okay?" He turned to her slowly, and his expression hadn't changed at all. Neutral, blank. "I'm listening," he said. "To what?" Emma laughed nervously. "The house," he said. "It's very loud tonight." My father cleared his throat. "Old pipes. They bang when the heat kicks on." Marcus nodded but didn't resume eating. His gaze drifted to me. "You hear it too, don't you?" "Hear what?" I kept my voice light. "The counting." The table went quiet. My mother's smile froze. Marcus picked up his knife and fork again, cut a precise piece of turkey, chewed methodically. Then he set down his utensils in perfect parallel and folded his hands. "Emma told me about this house," he said. "About the family who lived here before you. The Hendersons. They had 3 children. My father stiffened. "That's right. We bought it from their estate. All 3 children," Marcus continued, his tone conversational, "died in this dining room. Carbon monoxide. They were having Thanksgiving dinner. Just like us." Emma went pale. "Marcus, I never told you that." "You did. In group. You said you grew up in the house where those children died. You said sometimes you heard them counting at night. 1, 2, 3, over and over." My sister's hand shook as she reached for her water. "I said I heard the pipes. I never said." "You said exactly that." Marcus smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "I remember everything people tell me. It's a gift, or a curse, depending." Mom stood abruptly. "I'll get dessert started." Marcus's hand shot out and gripped her wrist. Not violently, but firm. "Please sit down, Patricia. We haven't finished our meal." My father pushed back his chair. "Let go of my wife." Marcus released her immediately, raising both hands. "I apologize. I just think it's important we all stay together. For safety. Carbon monoxide is odorless, you know. You wouldn't know until it was too late. Until you were all just sitting here, forks in hand, unable to move." I pulled out my phone under the table. No signal. We lived in a rural area, but I'd never had 0 bars inside the house before. "I think you should leave," my father said. "I will," Marcus agreed. "After dessert." Emma promised me her mother's pumpkin pie. "It would be rude to leave before then, wouldn't it, Emma?" My sister was crying silently, tears running down her face. "I don't understand." Marcus reached over and wiped a tear from her cheek with his thumb. The gesture was tender, careful. "You told me you felt guilty, that you were the only one who survived. But that's not true, is it? The Henderson children died. Your family moved in after. You didn't survive anything, Emma. You just inherited their space." "That's enough," I said. "Get out." He looked at me with something like pity. "I'm trying to help. Don't you want to know who's been counting in your house all these years? Because it's not the Henderson children. They're buried in Riverside Cemetery, all 3 together. I visited them yesterday. I brought flowers." My father moved toward the phone on the wall. Marcus was faster. He stepped in front of it, not blocking it exactly, just standing there. "The Henderson children had a babysitter the night they died," Marcus said. "She was supposed to be here. She called in sick, went to a party instead. Those children sat at this table, getting sleepy, getting confused, and she was drinking beer in someone's basement. She never told anyone. She carried that secret for 30 years, until she joined a grief support group and met a woman who'd just moved into a house on Maple Drive. Emma stood up so fast her chair fell backward. "Mom?" My mother's face was gray. "I don't know what he's talking about." "Yes, you do." Marcus's voice was soft now, almost kind. "You told Emma about the counting because you hear it too. You've always heard it. Because they're counting the years you stole from them. 28, 29, 30. Dad grabbed the phone. "Dead." He tried the kitchen extension. "Nothing. I cut the landline before I came in," Marcus said. "I also disabled your cell tower booster. And I parked my car across your driveway. I'm very thorough, Patricia. Just like you were. Keeping that secret. Never telling anyone. Not even your husband." Mom collapsed into her chair. "They were already dead when I got there in the morning. I called 911. I did everything right. But you were supposed to be there that night," Marcus whispered. "November 23rd, 1993. And you chose a party instead. Who are you?" my father demanded. Marcus pulled a wallet from his pocket and placed it on the table. Inside was a faded photo of 3 children. "My name is Marcus Henderson. The youngest was my sister. She was 7. He walked to the door, put on his coat. "I just wanted you to know that I know. That's all. I wanted to sit at this table and watch you eat and know that you finally understand someone remembers." Someone counted the years, too. The door closed softly behind him. We heard his car start, saw the headlights sweep across the windows. Then silence. My mother hasn't spoken about that night since. The police said Marcus Henderson died in 1993. Carbon monoxide poisoning. Age 7. His sister was 9. His brother was 11. There was no babysitter listed in the original report. The real Marcus Henderson, whoever sat at our table, was never identified. His fingerprints weren't in any database. The wine bottle was clean. The grief support group had no record of him. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear it. 1, 2, 3, over and over, and I wonder if he's still counting. The knocking started at 11:47 p.m. I know the exact time because I'd just checked my phone to see if the pharmacy delivery was running late. I was house-sitting for my aunt in her ground-floor flat in Exeter while she recovered from surgery and hospital, 3 weeks of watering plants and forwarding mail. Easy money, and I needed it. My landlord had just hiked my rent by 20%. The knock came again. Rapid. Insistent. "Hello? I need to speak with you about Margaret," my aunt's name. Through the peephole I saw a woman in her 50s, rain-soaked hair plastered to her face, wearing a navy fleece and jeans. She looked normal, tired, concerned. "It's late," I called through the door. "Can this wait until morning?" "No, please. It's about what happened to Margaret. The fall wasn't an accident." My stomach dropped. Aunt Margaret had fallen down the stairs at the library where she volunteered. Fractured hip, concussion. The doctor said she'd been lucky. "Who are you?" "Linda. I volunteer with her. We need to talk now, before they know I'm here." I hesitated. My aunt had mentioned a Linda. But something felt wrong about this. The urgency, the late hour. The rain had been hammering down for hours. Why come now? "Do you have ID?" "Jesus Christ, your aunt is in danger. And you want to see my driving license?" I kept the chain on and opened the door 2 inches. Linda stepped closer, water dripping from her coat. Her eyes were wide, darting past me into the flat. "Margaret told me you'd be staying here. She gave me the address. Said if anything happened, I should find you. She never mentioned that to me. She wouldn't have. She didn't want to worry you." Linda pulled out her phone, thumbs flying across the screen. "Look, I'm in the library volunteer group chat. See? That's me. That's Margaret." I glanced at the screen. There was a Linda Hewitt in the chat. Recent messages about shift schedules. Photos from a charity book sale. My aunt's face in the background of one shot. "Okay, but why are you here?" "Because someone pushed her." And they know she was asking questions about the missing donation money. £5,000, gone from the restoration fund. Margaret was going to report it, and then suddenly she's at the bottom of the stairs. This was too much, too fast. My aunt had never mentioned embezzlement or danger. She'd called me from the hospital, groggy but coherent, embarrassed about the fall. "I need to come in," Linda said. "I have documents, proof, but not out here where anyone can see." "I don't think." "Fine. Give me your number then. I'll send you the photos. But we need to move fast. The police won't listen to me. I've already tried. But if you report it as family, they'll have to investigate." Something in her voice made me pause. She sounded genuine, desperate. I gave her my number, kept the chain on. Her phone buzzed in her hand. She smiled. "There. Now you have proof I'm real." My phone didn't buzz. "I'll resend," she said quickly. Signal's rubbish in this weather. That's when I noticed her shoes. Completely dry, not even damp around the laces. The rain had been constant for hours. She should have been soaked through. "I think you should leave," I said. Her expression changed. The concern melted away, replaced by something colder. "Let me in." "No." Margaret told me where she keeps her spare key. In the ceramic owl by the door. I could let myself in if I wanted. My blood went cold. There was a ceramic owl on the bookshelf inside. I'd seen it but never looked closely. "But I'm being polite," Linda continued. "I'm giving you a chance to cooperate, because Margaret has been very helpful to us, very trusting. She let me into her home several times, showed me where everything was." I slammed the door, threw the deadbolt. The knocking started again immediately, harder now, rhythmic, deliberate. "I know you're alone in there. I know Margaret won't be home for weeks. I know you're staying until the 15th. I grabbed my phone. No signal. The storm, maybe. Or I looked at the router. All the lights were off. I hadn't touched it. "You can call the police," Linda said through the door. "But by the time they get here, I'll be gone, and I'll come back tomorrow, or the next day. I have time, do you?" I ran to the back door, checked the lock. It was secure, but the window next to it, the small one above the sink, was open a crack. Had I left it that way? Had my aunt? The knocking stopped. Silence. I moved through the flat, checking every window, every lock. The ceramic owl was on the shelf, exactly where Linda said it would be. I picked it up, heavy, hollow sounding. I turned it over. A key fell onto the carpet. My hands shook as I pocketed it. How did she know? Had she been watching the flat? Watching my aunt? I tried my phone again. Still no signal. The landline was dead too. I'd noticed that yesterday, but assumed it was a billing issue. Footsteps in the corridor outside. Slow, measured, stopping at each door. I stood in the center of the living room, kitchen knife in hand, trying to remember which neighbors my aunt had mentioned. Mrs. Chen upstairs. The Polish couple at the end. But I didn't know which flats. Didn't know if they'd even hear me through these walls. The footsteps stopped outside the door. Nothing. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then my phone buzzed. Signal had returned. One message from an unknown number. "I'll see you tomorrow. Don't tell Margaret. She trusts me." I called the police. Gave them everything. They sent someone round 40 minutes later, a young officer who took notes and checked the windows. He found fresh scratches on the back window frame. Someone had tried to force it. The officer told me to stay somewhere else for the night. I packed a bag and left. I never told my aunt. She came home 2 weeks later, and I helped her settle back in. I asked about Linda from the library. "Linda?" She looked confused. "There's no Linda. We have a Linda, but she moved to Cornwall last year." I checked the volunteer group chat on my aunt's phone. No Linda Hewitt. The screenshots I'd been shown, I couldn't find them anywhere online. Whoever that woman was, she knew my aunt's name, her address, where she kept her spare key. She knew I was alone, and sometimes late at night I still get texts from that unknown number. Just one word: soon. The notification came through again last night. Same time, same face. I'm writing this because the police won't look at the footage anymore. They say there's nothing actionable. Nothing threatening. Just a man standing on a public sidewalk, looking at houses. 3 weeks of this, and apparently that's not enough. I installed the doorbell camera 2 months ago after someone kept leaving our recycling bin in the middle of the drive. Small annoyance, but my husband travels for work and I wanted to catch whoever was doing it. The camera has a wide angle, picks up most of the front garden and a good stretch of pavement on either side. The first time he appeared was October 9th. I only noticed because I was scrolling through the motion alerts while drinking coffee, deleting the usual parade of foxes and delivery drivers. Then I saw him, 3:47 a.m., standing directly across the street, facing our house, not walking past, just standing. The camera's night vision turned everything grainy and green, but I could make out his features clearly enough. Middle-aged, average height, dark jacket, hands in pockets. He stood there for 11 minutes. I showed my husband when he got back that weekend. He shrugged it off. Drunk walking home, he said. Lost. Waiting for a lift. I wanted to believe that. But the next night, 3:47 a.m. again. Same man, same spot, this time for 14 minutes. I started checking the app every morning. He came back 4 nights that week. Always the same time, give or take a minute. Always standing in the same position, directly across from our front door. Sometimes he'd tilt his head, like he was listening. Once, I watched him take a step closer, then stop, as if he'd hit an invisible boundary. I called the non-emergency line. The operator was polite but unhelpful. Is he on your property? No. Has he made contact? No. Has he threatened you? No. They said they'd note it down, send a patrol car past when possible. I never saw one. Week 2. I started losing sleep. I'd lie in bed, watching the clock. At 3:40, I'd open the app, staring at the live feed. Waiting. He always appeared between 3:46 and 3:49, like clockwork. I began recording every appearance on my phone, taking screenshots, building evidence. My husband said I was obsessing, making it worse for myself. But he wasn't the one home alone 5 nights a week. He wasn't the one watching a stranger study our house in the dead of night. I joined our neighborhood WhatsApp group, posted about it. 3 people responded saying they'd seen a man matching that description on their streets too, but only passing through. No one else had him standing and staring. Just me. On day 16, I tried something. At 3:46 a.m., I went downstairs and turned on the porch light. Stood in the doorway. The camera caught it all. He was already there. When the light flooded the garden, he didn't move, didn't even blink, just stared back at me across the distance. I couldn't see his eyes properly in the glare, but I felt them. I slammed the door. Called 999. Told them someone was outside my house refusing to leave. They said they'd send someone. By the time the patrol car arrived 40 minutes later, he was gone. The officers looked at the footage on my phone, asked if I recognized him. I didn't. They took a statement, said it was concerning but not technically illegal, advised me to keep recording. One officer, the younger one, said something that stuck with me. Has he ever tried to approach when you're outside? I realized then I hadn't been out front after dark in over 2 weeks. Day 20, I decided to stay somewhere else. Packed a bag, drove to my sister's place across town. Didn't tell anyone except her. Left the camera running. Set it to alert me for any motion. 3:47 a.m. Alert. He was there. I watched from my sister's spare room, phone shaking in my hand. He stood in his usual spot. But this time, after 8 minutes, he walked up our drive. Slowly, stopped at the door. The camera angle caught him perfectly. He leaned forward, close to the lens, and I saw his face in detail for the first time, completely expressionless. Then he reached up, and for one awful second I thought he was going to rip the camera down. But he just pressed the doorbell. Once. Long press. I heard it through the app, that 2-tone chime echoing in my empty house. Then he walked away, back to his spot. Stood there for another 6 minutes. Left. I didn't sleep. In the morning I called the police again. Showed them the new footage. This time they took it seriously. Trespassing. They said they'd try to identify him, run the footage through their systems. I gave them everything. 3 weeks of recordings, timestamps, screenshots. That was 4 days ago. They called this morning, said they'd identified him. My stomach dropped. Finally, I thought. Finally something would happen. The detective's voice was careful, professional. They'd matched his face. He was reported missing 6 weeks ago, found dead 3 weeks ago. Car accident on the M25. Identification confirmed by dental records. I said that was impossible. I had footage from last night, from 4 hours ago. Long silence on the line. She asked me to send the latest recording. I did. Waited while she watched it. When she came back, her voice had changed. Quieter. She said the person in my footage matched the missing person's file photograph exactly. Same jacket, same clothes he was wearing when they found him. She said sometimes cameras malfunction, loop old recordings, create artifacts. She said it kindly, like she was trying to help me accept it. But I checked. Every file has a unique timestamp, different cloud storage IDs, different file sizes because of varying lengths. These aren't loops. I'm sitting here now, looking at my phone. It's 3:42 a.m. I'm in a hotel. I'm not going back to the house. My husband thinks I'm having a breakdown. Maybe I am. The app just buzzed. Motion detected. Front door camera. I don't want to look, but I can see the preview notification. There's someone standing across the street. The timestamp says 3:47 a.m. And this time, he's holding something. It's small, rectangular. I can just make it out in the grainy image. It looks like a phone, pointed at my empty house. Recording.